So who is better as an archer, Etie or Alcryst? In this comprehensive video, we're going to be running both units from start to finish on the same team with the exact same stat boosters, switching emblems and running their own builds as well as each other's builds. And currently, we are on what I like to think of as the Etie training arc, which is essentially sandbagging maps to feed her boss kills and feeding her 1/3 of each map. She's on Marth, she's going to eventually be getting Mercurius XP, and so far she has not been popping off. So I wanted to kind of show some of this early stuff so you can get a feel for like what kind of results we're looking at. So she is on Marth, which improves strength, standing next to a Leer, which gives 3 damage, on a steel bow, which also has improved damage, and she is able to do roughly 1/3 of the boss's HP. Now she does tank a single hit, but compare that to like just Louis, who we did nothing to on Iron Lance. If he was on Steel Lance next to a Leer, he'd be doing the same damage, and he has not leveled up yet, as far as I know. This video is brought to you by Artemis. Artemis would like you to like and subscribe. Etie versus Alcryst. We leveled up Etie to 10. All it cost us was giving her Marth, sandbagging every single map, feeding her every single boss kill on the way here, as well as feeding her roughly 1/3 of each map. And even at his level, is she obviously better than him? On Steel Bow, he has 86 hit with 33 damage. On Iron, he has 96 hit with 21 damage against flyers, so he can one-shot with reasonable accuracy. Etie, on the other hand, 35 damage, 81 hit, so pretty similar result. On Iron Bow, she also doesn't one-shot. On Longbow, she doesn't one-shot either. In terms of attacking these other guys, we have 11 damage on the Javelin, and then he does double on Iron Bow, so he is a little bit faster than her at base. At the same level, we leveled her up a lot. Her on Iron Bow, she's not doubling, so he can do more damage. He either hits breakpoints that she hits, or he does more damage. Now in terms of just raw stats, on Alcryst Join Chapter, you can't throw an emblem ring on him. So let's actually check out his performance relative to Etie. Gave her Marth. No forges yet, but we gave her Marth. So let's see what they can do on this first enemy here. So Alcryst is fast enough at base to double. This enemy cannot be missed. It's coded to be hit for the Lapis tutorial, but he does 24 damage just with a steel bow and nothing else. And then Etie, with a steel bow, does 16 damage. Now, not doubling is a big deal. She can pop Marth to do Alcryst's damage, the same damage Alcryst does at base without Marth. So right now, she's definitely not even competitive with him. Now against enemies he does not double, she will deal more damage, but that's Marth dealing the damage, not really her. Let's test Etie with nothing on chapter 8 to see how she does, then we'll compare her to Alcryst, and then we'll also give her Marth. I think that's probably her best emblem ring. So her opening will be pretty similar to Alcryst's, going for a big shot on something. So probably using Steel Bow here, deal some chip damage. So similar to the Anna performance, we have like one-shotting the flyers, so you can kind of pick a flyer to attack. However, she might not be able to tank center here, so if she goes for this attack, I think she actually dies. They're gonna break these barriers down and then probably just straight up kill her. So what she would want to do is probably go for like a follow-up attack on this. Go for like a kill. Almost gets one-rounded. That's not ideal. It's pretty dangerous everywhere. If we were playing normally, there would be like more dead enemies. So she can kill a flyer, so she can get like... She can't hold the center because she'll die for sure. Let's test Alcryst in the same role. Promoted with the same weapons. Now he does have a little bit lower base strength right now, so his per shot damage is going to be a little bit less. We'll have him shoot the same enemy. He does have a strength +3 passive if you set it up, which does give him a kind of competitive edge. If he wants to clean up this kill over here, he is shy a little bit of damage to do so. So for these early maps, in terms of raw damage, obviously it goes to Etie. In terms of survivability, he's sitting at 10 defense. I think promoted, she was sitting at 6. He also has a little bit more health than her, and he's way faster. He could potentially double certain targets. He's very close to doubling these. That is something to point out because doubling is a lot more damage. So if we throw him on Marth, I feel like his Marth performance will be better than hers because he should be tripling when popped. This time we have Etie Bond level 10 Marth. She does have higher base strength because Marth gives strength. So now her opening attack does a little bit more damage. So she can put something at like 10 HP. Same as before, she can't hold the center. She'll die to the pressure. So she probably wants to go for the same last hit. Alternatively now though, now that she has Marth, she can pop Marth. She can go for like the dual attack, which doesn't really kill. She could obviously lodestar, but that's not really unique to her. She can go for Mercurius, almost killing here. I think with the Leer damage, she can kill.
All right.
She will take some big damage in response though. She does kill with a basic Mercurius attack here, taking 14 in response, but she'll die to a second packet of damage.
Let's go.
Let's actually support her. Let's see if she can tank here. One of the big problems with Etie is she has low defense, low speed, and low HP. So she usually can't tank any hits, so even if you try to do aggressive moves like this, it usually ends up in her dying. Leer is also reducing damage taken by 1. Alright, she actually did get a kill. She gets broken. Let's test Alcryst against the same enemies. Now I'm putting these units here unequipped so that the enemies move within melee range. For whatever reason, they kind of like don't move all the way. They'll like move to like here. But I want to test Mercurius damage. So we're just going to do our basic attack here. We'll hit ones that are a little bit farther back, just to show like the combats. And we'll pass. So they're both unequipped, they're just gonna get hit. And we're doing that so we can check his Mercurius damage, and we can see what he can one round without help. And then we're gonna see what he can do with a Leer standing next to him.
My turn?
Which Etie did get
My
in order to hit a
resolve is
breakpoint. Alright, so basic bow stuff. He is fast enough to double these. So he has pretty big damage. With a Forge, especially with a silver bow or something, or an early radiant bow, he would be one rounding just off of might. With popped Marth, he is barely not one rounding, which Etie did not achieve either. But he gets this at 1 HP because he doubles. So that's pretty huge value. And then on this side, with popped Marth on silver or on steel bow, he puts us at 7. If we attack with Mercurius, he is almost one rounding. Next to a Leer, he will on the fast sword. And then with Mercurius, he does one round without help. So he does have a pretty good result. He is competitive with Etie right now in terms of damage, even though she has higher strength. His speed is making up for that, giving him the option to double certain targets. So he's 17 speed right now on Marth at bond level 10. No stat boosters or tonics used on him, no passives. So I would say it's like a tie for this. It's pretty similar performance. He's a little bit better at enemy phasing. She's a little bit better per shot. His doubling is really good. Possibly you could like putting him in the lead here. It has been said that Etie on Warrior allows her performance to skyrocket. So today we're going to be testing this with breakpoints and basic math. So we did get her a silver bow through random welling. I'm gonna run silver bow on both units to see how they compare. And then we're going to evaluate their early game performance and give them like ratings relative to each other. For this emblemless test, we have them both at internal level 11. Etie was Master Sealed onto Sniper, Second Sealed onto Warrior, and then Alcryst was just Master Sealed onto Tier d'Elite.
Yes.
Alright, so right now with Steel Bow, he's one-shotting flyers. With Iron Bow, he's not. And then oh yeah, let's check out the hit rates too, because that's very important. Hit rate of 92. Etie on Warrior, Steel Bow. Hit rate of 76. She hits a 40, but it's excess damage, so it doesn't matter. Longbow, she one-shots at 31, 66 hit rate. Iron Bow, she does not one-shot, similar to Alcryst, 86 hit rates. And then Silver Bow, she's 81 hit rate. So of these, obviously the Silver Bow is best, doing 49 damage. To a flyer though, it's excess damage, so we're not really too thrilled about that. Now we'll check her Longbow versus this. She does kill. Okay. All right, for his silver bow. Oops, that's long bow. His silver bow is 97 hit rate. That's really reliable without a forge. It's clear that he's the winner in terms of like accuracy and shooting down flyer performance. On steel or silver bow, his base accuracy is in the 90s, whereas hers is like 70s. So even on warrior, which has really good bases, she's kind of struggling. Obviously his longbow is not going to kill here. It's more accurate at the very least. So in terms of like longbow poke, she has it, but her hit rate's shaky. And in terms of general flyer killing on this chapter and beyond, he easily has the edge over her. Marth will help her a lot because then she can actually deal a little bit more damage and double certain enemies. So against the flyer on silver bow, we have good damage. And against this guy, she gets kind of close to one-shotting him. So if we pop Marth and attack, she will one round probably most of the enemies on the map just off of might. So this is a decent result. Obviously we lose Marth in 2 chapters, so unfortunately she can't run this the whole game. If she could, if we attack things with Mercurius, she's able to one round either target at like 80s, which is fine. Okay, so at base, just by having Marth equipped, the speed increase is having him double. This dude, almost killing him without popping. And if we switch weapons, if he would double a silver bow, he'd be very close to killing. But she did not get this much damage. I think, well, actually it was similar, but on silver bow. Her silver bow damage was similar to his doubling. Also, he one-shots with steel or silver, so there's no real difference there. Excess damage doesn't matter. All right, so let's pop Marth now. So interestingly, on steel bow, it doesn't kill. With silver, he doesn't kill. Obviously, he's gonna kill those. So she has a slight edge there. If we attack with Mercurius, he does kill if he doubles, and he does not kill this off of might. So her base might is a little bit better, obviously. His accuracy is much higher though. Now on Marth, her performance is just slightly better. I wouldn't say it's that much better because if we just stick a Leer next to him and give him 6 damage, he's one rounding. Alternatively, if we get his passive to proc and then he starts fighting things, he could be one rounding as well. So if you can play around his passive, their performance is basically identical. Otherwise, she has a slight edge on Marth. But if you're just using them to shoot down flyers, their performance is also identical. Alright, so what did we learn based on these results from doing these tests and seeing where these units are at? Well, it's clear that if you want to run Etie, she requires a lot of upfront investment and training. She could be thrown on Micaiah and go for staff botting, which is fine if you want to do it that way. She can also go for Mercurius. I've heard of people training her on Sigurd. I would say Micaiah or Marth are the things she wants to train. The real question is it worth it to train her? Considering Alcryst is already level 10 when you get him, and if you're just using them for shooting down flyers, he does that with almost no resources. So if that's the use case, Alcryst is significantly better because he requires fewer startup costs and just performs that role, and can perform that role in endgame with Radiant Bow, and he does fine. Whereas with her, she can't really Radiant Bow because her magic stat will end up being much lower than his. So you kind of get this need to do like an expensive forge, like the old meme, the silver bow +3, which is a very expensive forge silver-wise. Radiant Bow is a very cheap forge, so it's very competitive. It also allows you to shoot armors for good damage. So early game performance, I would say, is pretty similar with her having heavy investment costs. And against flyers, it's basically identical, but the speed difference does start to matter as you enter middle game. Like, he's already doubling things, and there's no way she's doubling things unless you throw her on land. So even though she does more damage, the fact that he can hit doubling breakpoints allows him to be competitive with her damage-wise against like medium speed enemies and some semi-fast enemies, depending on how much speed fixing you put on him. Whereas with her, it is much harder to speed fix her. Another thing that's not showing up right now is he does have a little bit of build growth that will start to kick in, whereas with hers, I think it's a little bit less. So we'll see what their stats are long term, but overall, I would say he's a better like flyer killer. She has better just like raw might. but there's better options, like, unfortunately. So if I had to give both of these a rating for their early game, I'm giving Etie a rating of 4 out of 10 for her early game. Her join map makes her look good because the game literally wants you to one-shot flyers, but immediately afterwards, the following map with Chloe, she does not one-shot flyers anymore and needs to stand next to a Lear. And then beyond that, like, her accuracy and damage is pretty similar to everyone else's. And by the time Alcryst joins, if you're not XP funneling her and feeding her bosses, I literally fed her 3 bosses and a third of each map up to this point to get her to Alcryst level. And using Mercurius as well. That's what it took. Definitely not worth it considering her results are more or less identical to his, with her having better per shot damage, lower accuracy, and she's less bulk and lower speed. And for Alcryst, I'll give him like a 7 out of 10. He's a free archer that can shoot down flyers that's low investment that you can run for a few chapters then get rid of. He basically does what people claim she does without falling off because he has high dex, so he actually has relevant damage. If you want to run him long term, you can just slap a radiant bow on him, forge it to like +2 to +3 for just like some steel and iron. Doesn't consume your silver. If you want to forge her a silver bow, forging silver costs a ton of silver, which is a very scarce resource that even if you do DLC, you will end up only having like 30 to 50 silver throughout an entire playthrough, with most of that silver being added to your inventory near the end of the game. So early forge of silver is just not really reliable, consistent, or a good idea, and other units do want that silver, so you kind of have to distribute it to your units. So definitely a better forge, the Radiant Bow. So 7 out of 10, 4 out of 10, too much investment, performance isn't really there for early game. We'll see how she does in middle and end game.